WNBA insiders are leaking that there is about to be a strike, y'all. WNBA insiders leaked this, man. We got to break all of this down and get into everything. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. We are on the road. We traveling this holiday season. We got to...
This isn't exaggeration. This isn't sensationalism. People deeply embedded in the industry are genuinely debating whether we're about to witness the WNBA's first ever work stoppage. Based on reporting from Alexa Philippa dated December 23rd, those who broker these agreements professionally hold dramatically opposing views on whether the players' union is making empty threats or if the 2026 season is truly in jeopardy. The players have greenlit a strike authorization. The league has accused them of misrepresenting negotiation realities. And caught in this chaos is Caitlin Clark, who may be the sole individual grasping the true implications of what's unfolding.
Against the WNBA, it's definitely been a tactic that I have noticed. Here it says, this is a quote, "If you're so far apart as the union claims and the negotiations have not gone well and you have the right to strike at any point in time, why are you not striking?" One industry source said. "If it's all negative with no progress, what are you waiting for?" Now that feeds into the point where the WNBA came out and addressed the WNBPA and called them liars. They literally called them liars about the state of...
Here's where complexity enters the picture. For weeks now, the WNBA Players Association has been executing a calculated public relations offensive. Social media messaging, Instagram updates, strategically worded ESPN statements suggesting talks have stalled. They're weaponizing fan support as bargaining leverage against ownership. It's an intentional tactic. One industry insider challenged this approach head-on, posing the glaring question: if discussions are truly as disastrous as the union portrays, if meaningful advancement is non-existent, if management is operating dishonestly, then why hasn't Nneka Ogwumike led a walkout already? Why the delay? Why approve strike authorization for some ambiguous future moment rather than taking immediate action? This question carries weight because it exposes something crucial about negotiating power. The WNBA's counterresponse broke all norms. They didn't release some vague corporate statement. They flat out charged the players' union with deceiving the public regarding how discussions are genuinely unfolding.
They are lying to the fans, they are lying to the media, they are lying to the public about the state of the negotiations. We have been giving fair offers, we are negotiating in good faith. They are lying to you guys, and that answer feeds into that. Another answer here was, "It's okay to strike to me." One agent told ESPN, "In some cases, walking away, saying no is a really good part of the strategy in negotiation." But not everyone believes the league would be more willing to come.
The league's stance is unambiguous. They've been bargaining honestly. They've presented reasonable proposals. They've demonstrated flexibility. And the union's portrayal of these discussions as antagonistic or fruitless is, according to league representatives, entirely inaccurate. That's an extraordinary allegation. You don't openly brand your bargaining counterpart as dishonest unless you're certain you have evidence. And it implies the divide between what the union broadcasts publicly and what's truly transpiring behind closed doors is substantial. One agent shared telling insight with ESPN, acknowledging that utilizing strikes as negotiation tactics is perfectly legitimate. Refusing terms and walking away can create powerful pressure. However, they included an essential qualifier. Not everyone is convinced that threatening work stoppage will genuinely push the league towards satisfying player requirements. The underlying message: some individuals connected to these talks believe the union is miscalculating their leverage.
Of a strike looming. This is another quote. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is going to step in and say, "Ladies, we're not moving on this and this, but we will do this, and this. And we're going to get a deal done early January," another agent predicted. Here it says, "Nonetheless, one common belief among insiders is that for all the potential strike talk, the players in the league understand the importance of having a 2026 season." I don't see it. They seem like Caitlin Clark seems like she understands the importance of having a 2026 season.
Now, Here's where circumstances become fascinating. A different agent offered a forecast. They predicted Adam Silver will intervene directly, establish firm boundaries on specific matters, provide compromises on others, and push both parties toward agreement by early January. That's a precise projection. Early January, not May when games commence, not March during pre-season preparation, but January. This suggests this source anticipates resolution within the next 2 to 3 weeks, initiated from the NBA's highest ownership levels. Yet there's inconsistency here. The union's executive committee, headed by Nneka Ogwumike, is informing ESPN they view strike authorization as maintaining the ability to walk away should discussions deteriorate. She explicitly stated talks remain in their infancy. After months of exchanges, after numerous public declarations, after approving strike authorization, they're asserting negotiations are barely underway.
Players do. Here it says, so it is still unlikely that games will be missed. This is a quote. I think a work stoppage by technicality is possible, another league source added. I'm not worried at this point about us missing any games. Now, there's an article here on ESPN, and it has updates up to December 23rd. You can see the date there, little fuzzy, but and it's basically stating, it says what we're hearing on the WNBA CBA negotiations, and here it says, as the calendar approaches 2026, uncertainty reigns over when a new collective bargaining agreement will get done between the WNBA.
The prevailing sentiment among insiders, per Philippa's coverage, is that despite extensive strike rhetoric, both parties recognize the critical importance of conducting a 2026 season. One league representative stated they believe a technical work stoppage remains possible, yet they're unconcerned about losing scheduled games. That's a vital differentiation. Work stoppage could mean players forfeit benefits, surrender team housing for those still receiving it, lose facility access throughout the off-season. That generates pressure and captures media attention, but it doesn't eliminate games. It doesn't drain the league of broadcast income. It doesn't push away the fan base that recently discovered this league's existence through Caitlin Clark. Here's what the content creator in that video clip comprehends that perhaps certain players overlook. The WNBA Players Association leadership is filled with individuals maintaining financial stakes beyond the WNBA, co-founders of Unrivaled, equity holders in that venture, people currently collecting millions from investors supporting that 3-on-3 enterprise. When alternatives exist, when income flows from different revenue streams, it transforms your risk assessment. You can afford aggressive negotiating tactics with the WNBA because if outcomes disappoint, you've secured backup options.
Players Association. The Players Union has continued to publicly express displeasure with the state of the negotiations, with the player body last week authorizing the union's executive committee to call a strike when necessary, a move the WNBPA called an unavoidable response to the state of negotiations with the WNBA and its teams. And here it says, how and under what circumstances would an executive committee vote on a strike? Ogwumike told ESPN that she sees Thursday vote as an opportunity for a strike to be an option if negotiations don't progress, adding that she believes
But what about mid-tier athletes? What about rookies fresh from the draft? What about competitors not receiving unrivaled equity or alternative professional opportunities? Work stoppages don't impact everyone uniformly. The superstars will manage fine. They possess international contracts, sponsorship agreements, competing leagues pursuing their talents. It's the athletes earning $70,000 or $80,000, those depending on that WNBA income to genuinely sustain themselves playing professional basketball, who suffer most from labor disruptions. And that's precisely why Caitlin Clark's remarks about mutual concessions become so significant. She emphasized both parties need to compromise, not solely ownership. Both parties. That's a player, the league's biggest attraction, openly declaring that the union must demonstrate willingness to concede ground too. That's not the narrative union leadership desires circulating. They want unity. They want public pressure targeting ownership. They want supporters demanding the league increase compensation. What they don't want is their most marketable player, implying perhaps the union's requirements aren't completely justified. Yet in their infancy.
The WNBA, meanwhile, has repeatedly said in statements that the league strongly disagrees with the WNBPA's characterization of the current state of the negotiations. As I told you, the WNBA came out and called them liars. When asked what factors would prompt the executive committee to consider pursuing a strike, Agumake said it's kind of early to even say that. That might be a question for something closer to January 9th. I'm not entirely sure what factors, aside from what we're looking to get done in revenue sharing, could potentially lead us to make a decision on this strike authorization vote. Here it says the union declined to provide details on the voting procedures the executive committee would follow if voting on a strike. What are the ramifications? Man, bro, I'm tired of this. I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired of it, bro. I just want a season to happen. That's all I want is a hoop season. I just want to see Caitlin Clark stir the pot, put on her chef hat, and get the cooking, y'all. That's really all
Let's examine what a strike would genuinely entail. The 2026 season isn't slated to begin until May. We're in late December currently. That's 4.5 months distant. So the immediate danger isn't cancelled games. The immediate danger is forfeiting off-season benefits, surrendering access to team training centers, losing the infrastructure enabling players to condition and prepare. That's leverage, though it's not devastating leverage. The union refused to disclose specifics on how the executive committee would formally vote on initiating a strike. Nneka Ogwumike stated it's premature to identify what conditions would trigger that choice, though she referenced they're pursuing advancement on revenue distribution. Specifically, revenue distribution is the primary issue. That's the fundamental concern. Here's what distinguishes this negotiation from every other professional sports labor conflict. The WNBA isn't generating profit currently. The NBA finances it. When WNBA players bargain, they're disputing projected future income that doesn't exist currently. The league is wagering on expansion. The players demand guarantees based on that anticipated expansion. Both stances are justifiable. The players can legitimately contend they're generating the value, that Caitlin Clark just produced unprecedented viewership and attendance figures. Meanwhile, the owners can legitimately contend they've been covering financial shortfalls for years, that one profitable season doesn't ensure sustained expansion. The difficulty is these two stances might not be compatible without someone surrendering more territory than they prefer. The union is wagering that ownership prioritizes the 2026 season more than maintaining firm positions on revenue distribution ratios. Somebody's going to yield. The question is who yields initially and how much they surrender. Adam Silver intervening might be the most probable outcome. He can provide something ownership was hesitant to provide, absorb the criticism for it, frame it as him mandating a compromise, and bring both parties to an agreement. That preserves dignity for everyone. But if we reach February without an agreement, then we enter genuinely hazardous territory. Training camps commence in April. If there's no collective bargaining agreement established, none of that can proceed normally. That's when you begin jeopardizing scheduled games. That's when casual supporters who recently discovered the league because of Clark begin losing engagement. The strike authorization ballot isn't genuinely about striking. It's about leverage. It's about demonstrating to ownership that the players are sufficiently unified to walk away if required. Whether that approach succeeds depends entirely on whether ownership considers the ultimatum authentic. And based on the league's readiness to openly brand the union as dishonest, it appears ownership suspects the union is making empty threats. One of those parties is interpreting this situation accurately. The other is miscalculating severely. If the union genuinely strikes, it will be the largest wager in WNBA history. But if ownership challenges that bluff, the union will have to either retreat or execute, and executing means players forfeit a year of income and genuine career setbacks. So do I believe there will be a strike? I believe there will be a work stoppage that generates headlines and creates pressure, but I don't believe they'll genuinely cancel games. I believe we'll witness a dramatic negotiation in January, probably with Adam Silver becoming involved, and will reach an agreement that provides players more than the league preferred to pay, but less than the union preferred to receive. The next 4 weeks will reveal everything. If we reach the end of January without an agreement, start becoming concerned. If Adam Silver steps in and mandates a compromise, we're secure. What do you think occurs? Does the union genuinely strike, or is this entirely leverage and maneuvering? Share your forecast in the comments because we're about to discover who interpreted this situation accurately.